I've got the absolute privilege of actually sharing one of our exciting accelerators with you called BuildBOT 365. To probably just give you the headline feature, it was born out of necessity to try and assist the sales team in a windows and doors manufacturing organization to do or create what's called a sales takeoff. Basically, what they do is they look at an architectural diagram, look at all the windows and doors from that diagram, put it on a schedule, put the width, the dimensions down, the color, all the necessary, the type of window that they needed, which would then go to an engineering team for pricing before it goes back to the customer. All right. So what was happening in the business case here was that it was taking on average about 6 weeks turnaround time, and they were only getting about a 30% win rate. So basically what we were looking at doing, and they actually blamed the slow turnaround time in that process for the lack of win rate, because a lot of these builders had to turn things around quickly when they got a lot of staff and that on site. So what we've been able to do is use AI to do a lot of what we call the donkey work that the salespeople doing, basically reducing a lot of that admin overhead and getting the information off the sheet and producing that schedule, which we can go to customers. So what used to take hours or days, now it's a few minutes. But then we've also built in some other smarts to actually streamline the process even further, reducing weeks to days. All right, so let me demonstrate this to you. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you in a second. So in short, what we have here is a view, is an architectural diagram. And here you can see just from this diagram, it's a few pages. There's a multi-floor, there's a ground floor, a first floor, and a roof, a loft floor plan, if you, as it were, in the roof. And then what we've got here too is a side view. Okay, so one thing that we're trying to do is isolate or identify all these windows. Now you can see these windows don't have measurements on them. Instead, we've got to use what we call these dimensions to get the measurements from these windows. All right, now you can imagine some sales guy with a ruler trying to ascertain what fits where, the sizes, writing it down, very manual process, as it were. Okay, so what we've been able to do is I'm going to show you what our BuildBOT does, but basically identifies this thing as a window and looks at the dimensions, marries it up against the elevation view to create a 3D model and puts all the dimensions together for us. Now, I'm showing you windows, but the same applies to doors, geospatial diagrams. There's so many different applications for this. We're running out of excuses not to use it everywhere. But let's start, let's go through down to the BuildBOT. The way that we, first of all, I should say, I'm just ingesting it via a website, but we can do this by reading an email address, seeing where the location of that building is, because we've got an address on it, and we can route it down to the salesperson that services that area. So we can further accelerate the workflow even further. But for now, we're just creating a front end as a web address. So I'm basically selecting that, going to select that diagram there. So I'm opening up that same sheet. Now what it's doing is it's doing all the processing now. So imagine how long that would have taken a human doing it. They reckon it's usually about 4 hours for a drawing that I've typically shown you. And now within a matter of minutes, we should be able to get a bit of a result. Now I'm still in the portal. It hasn't even produced a report for me. But what I wanted to show you, let me just show you, is we can then go in and highlight, and you can see on the diagram itself, it's actually created windows and doors and highlighted that. All right, so you can see it's identified this is a window, and you'll see, if you can see that the detail over there, it's actually got this as a wall, a door, etc. So we can put up different components of here. I'm just going to focus on windows for the time being. The windows then are able, it marries up these windows, and it also picks up this dimensions block. So it says, oh, these are the measurements I need to take into consideration. So it's actually done that. Now, let's say, for example, I don't believe that this is a door. Just it's picked it up incorrectly for whatever reason. It looks like a door. And keep in mind, different builders will have different symbols or diagrams for different artifacts that they need on that, objects that they need on the architectural diagram. Usually it's consistent, but let's say for argument's sake, I don't believe this is a door. I can go and close it. But let's say, for example, I think this is a door, and I can go highlight it there. I can go and tag it. We built this specifically in the preview window so that we don't have to go through too many iterations. At the same time, we're accelerating the learning of the application, because now it says, for that builder, that's not a door. this is a door. So now it knows next time that, okay, when I see this boulder and I see that diagram, I know that this is a door. So very smart way of actually building some of that capability in it. So we've actually streamlined that process even further, all right, to also teach the or train the bot in a more efficient way, all right. From there, you can see I've got the floor plan. I can go next and look at the next one, and it does exactly the same for the different windows and doors, etc. So you can go through and it picks up all the different elements here, as you can see. All right. From there, I can then click this button. What it does then is it says, oh, let me go write that report for you. So in this, what it's doing is it's actually going to create me a Word version. Now, I can create multiple files of this. We can create a JSON version, which then can be ingested by the other application. So I'm just going to put this on my desktop, and I'm going to go to that report. Give it a second, and yeah, you can see it wrote the report. So one thing that we've asked it to do is actually replay the architectural diagram. You can see that it's actually identified those as windows. It's named it, yeah, window 1, window 2, window 3, blah, 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 and you can see it going down and highlighting all the windows for me. Furthermore, at the bottom of the sheet, we can then create what we call a schedule. And basically, it's highlighting that window, identified the area that it's in, the living room, the width, the height, and the type of window from the actual diagram that we've got there. We've also got another library that indicates that this is a sliding window, awning, etc. All right. So basically, we can identify and create the schedule for you. Now, we did this in a matter of seconds, but the real value that we believe, there's other applications that can do something similar. The real value that we believe our accelerator facilitates a lot of our processes is that we build it into your existing operations. So we can read the source system, where the information comes from. We can build in that workflow to, like I said, to route this specific drawing to another salesperson, to the salesperson that services a specific area. We can put it through a lot of checks and balances. We can use different colors to highlight different objects on that. So maybe you do doors, windows, walls, for example, etc. And we can identify and pull that out, all those details out. Now, I've shown you a very simple example. Well, obviously, we've got a lot more complex than what we've shown you at the moment, because we can actually go and pull up walls. We can put it through a measurement. So even from a diagram like that, we can look at the walls, work out the volume of wall, as it were, and then work out how many bricks we're tentatively going to need to build those walls. All right, or how many tiles we're going to need for that roof, or how much cement we're going to need for the flooring. So there's a lot of, or even carpets for that matter, but it's going to try and work out all of this. And because we can automatically put this through pricing tables, integrated into a pricing schedule or a third-party application, we can split it out or get that thing to split it out and check out pricing and further automate it even further. Now nowhere are we looking to replace salespeople, but what we're trying to do is create the tools that does the donkey work so that salespeople can have increased capacity to do more of the face-to-face customer hunting, increase their sales capacity. So imagine that is what the tool does. Furthermore, we've just come from another expo, and we can just see how we can further extend this application. So let's say, for example, we've got a building site, an architectural diagram. Remember, this can be pushed to CAD drawings, geospatial images, etc. But we can basically pull information from there and then link it into multiple different systems. The case in point is, let's say, for example, we've got an architectural diagram. The architect does this diagram. They can then go in, and because Copilot and AI can read a website, it knows the location of the building, you can basically go in, ascertain, wow, this building is in this area. Let's check if it passes, if it's in breach of any of the regulations for that council or that area in that specific suburb. It can go and check the color scheme. It can check the height of the building, because you've got the dimensions. It can see its proximity to the fencing, all the specific stuff that a lot of the councils would analyze for approving building. And then you can almost preemptively go and say, oh, it's in breach of X, Y, Z. So in that way, we can even facilitate further building or further scenarios even further. All right. Look, there's so many different applications for this accelerator. As we said, we're just scratching the surface. Each iteration of this, we're just learning more, but we can see that it's going to be a game changer. We can see even for the customers that we're working with, it's creating them a very powerful go-to-market and a differentiator against their competitors. Either way, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Any questions, please write them through Maddie. Have a good day. Bye.